New videos every day.
Hey, I'm John Breeding. It's Tuesday, I believe June 17th. I wish I could say I was on location in Hawaii. But I'm here, and I want to talk about something I really love, or some people I really love, which is called children. I love life and I love children. And I want to talk about something I really hate, which is the drugging of children unnecessarily. And I'm going to talk about the psychiatric drugging of children again, and specifically focusing on the so-called antipsychotic drugs. Because there's been a big trend in the last decade. You know, I've talked a lot in my other videos and in my books and stuff about, my website, wildestcults.com, about the fact that between 1970 and the year 2000, my estimate was about a 4,000% increase in the number of children in North America on psychiatric drugs of different classes, most of those stimulant drugs. So that's a 40-fold increase, 4,000%. We've been successful in educating people about the flaws and the confusion and make it controversial about drugging all these kids, but nevertheless the relentless propaganda and money flows from big pharma and psychiatry and the government has still continued the numbers up. It's very sad. There's estimated 800,000 or so children in this country on antipsychotic drugs now. Now, what about these antipsychotic drugs? What am I talking about? They're called neuroleptics. That means bind or seize the nerves. They're called major tranquilizers, meaning major zonkers. They were originally created to put people in hibernation, to deep freeze them for a little while. And then they got adopted to create a permanent deep freeze. This class of drugs has created the largest epidemic of neurological disease in the history of the world. Millions and millions of people suffering from so-called tardive dyskinesia. In other words, neurological movement disorders. Movement is life. This is a disabling and poisoning and breaking down of the central nervous system, the neurological system that has to do with flow and movement. Estimated 5% of people per year that take these drugs, in other words, 5% are going to start developing these tardive symptoms in the first year, 5% more in the next year, etc. So the longer you take them, the more you are at risk. And not only do you have the tardive problems, the dyskinesia problems, you also have 25 pounds per year weight gain, diabetes in huge numbers. This is why you have billions of dollars in lawsuits settled to class action claims by Eli Lilly, the makers of Zyprexa. This is one of the most poisonous drugs in history. And yet more and more people are being given it, including children. It's still going on. Biederman right now is currently recruiting 4 to 6-year-olds to test Seroquel, another one of these heavy-duty poisons that cause neurological damage, that cause gut problems, that cause weight gain, that cause mental problems and make people unable to naturally be well, that cause incredible, horrible feelings in the body on every level. 4 to 6-year-olds. Another one on 6 to 12-year-olds for another one. Another study, University of Washington, 7 to 18-year-olds to test Zyprexa, Risperdal, Abilify on aggression, supposedly, and to see how it affects the body. Children as experimental guinea pigs and as profit points for a corrupt, cynical, evil industry. That's the reality of it, folks. Be clear about that. There is no childhood mental illness that's a physically verifiable thing, that's a genetic or chemical problem that needs a biological substance called a toxic drug to control. It's all made up as 100% fraud. Here's Biederman's view on pediatric bipolar. Average onset age 4. That means 3, sometimes 2, etc. Irritability, recklessness, sleeplessness, hyperactivity. These are not medical conditions. These are judgments about somebody's behavior. Many of these are on antipsychotics. For ADHD, for depression, for bipolar, for all these made-up diseases. It's absolutely tragic. We're killing these kids. Here's an example of a death. Rebecca Riley, on antipsychotics and other drugs between age 2.5 and 4. At age 4, on December 13th, she's described as a floppy doll, and she dies. The parents, last I heard, were in prison. The psychiatrist who started the whole thing, his defense, customary and usual practice. Going after the doctors is difficult because this is the customary and usual practice. The standards set by experts at places like Harvard, like Joe Biederman. It makes it hard to sue the doctors. The class action lawsuits are getting the drug companies, but a few $1 billion for Eli Lilly when they're making billions upon billions and billions, it's worth it. This is one place among many in this highly distressed society that we live in that would be good to speak out on behalf, to interrupt this as abuse, to see it as analogous to taking a lead pipe and hitting a child over the head. You would stop that parent, I hope. At the very least, to make a statement in every situation that you're in there, that this is institutionalized child abuse, that this is poison, this is not medical treatment, this is not an illness, these drugs are not medicine, they're toxic poisons that disable and kill. Physically many times, psychologically always. That's it.